It's been condemned by the WHO, the United Nations Children's Fund, the United Nations Population Fund. According to the WHO, genital mutilation is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights. Genital mutilation is considered particularly egregious because, as the WHO notes, it is nearly always carried out on minors and is a violation of the rights of children. Most genital mutilation is not typically performed by force, but as WHO notes...
Hello, today I will tell you about a profitable way to earn cryptocurrency. Exactly in 1 minute, we can earn from 10 to 50% to the amount. The strategy of earning is to buy cryptocurrency on one exchange and sell on another, and the profit we will get thanks to the difference in exchange rates on the exchanges. To begin, we will need to go to the site Binance, buy cryptocurrency, for example, Bitcoin. Then go to the Dampo's website and sell Bitcoin on it. After that, we withdraw the received money back to Binance. As you can see, initially on Binance I had 4,000 USDT, and after my strategy on the balance of $5,200. And in this way, we can earn many times. The strategy may change, so get in before it's too late.
Notes that by social convention, social norm, the social pressure to conform, to do what others do and have been doing, as well as the need to be accepted socially and the fear of being rejected by the community, American culture is now normalizing the idea that minors can be given hormones to prevent their biological development of their secondary sexual characteristics. Dr. Levine, you have supported both allowing minors to be given hormone blockers to prevent them from going through puberty, as well as surgical destruction of a minor's genitalia. Like surgical mutilation, hormonal interruption of puberty can permanently alter and prevent secondary sexual characteristics. The American College of Pediatricians reports that 80 to 95% of prepubertal children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention and social affirmation. Dr. Levine, do you believe that minors are capable of making such a life-changing decision as changing one's sex?
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I would look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question was about minors. Let's be a little more specific since you evaded the question. Do you support the government intervening to override the parent's consent to give a child puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or amputation surgery of breasts and genitalia? You have said that you're willing to accelerate the protocols for street kids. I'm alarmed that poor kids with no parents who are homeless and distraught, you would just go through this and allow that to happen to a minor. I would hope that you would have compassion for Kira Bell, who's a 23-year-old girl who was confused with her identity. At 14, she read on the internet about something about transsexual. She thought, well, maybe that's what I am. She ended up getting these puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. She had her breasts amputated. But here's what ultimately she says now. And this is a very insightful decision from someone who made a mistake but was led to believe this was a good thing by the medical community. I made a brash decision as a teenager, as a lot of teenagers do, trying to find confidence and happiness, except now the rest of my life will be negatively affected, she said, adding that the medicalized gender transitioning was a very temporary, superficial fix for a very complex identity issue. What I'm alarmed at is that you're not willing to say absolutely minors shouldn't be making decisions to amputate their breast or to amputate their genitalia. For most of our history, we believe that minors don't have full rights and the parents need to be involved. So I'm alarmed that you won't say with certainty that minors should not have the ability to make the decision to take hormones that will affect them for the rest.
Who seeks recognition on the legislature? Gentleman from California, I think it's the Democrats' turn. Gentleman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
The gentleman has an amendment at the desk. Clerk will report. I think we're waiting.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Point of order.
Gentleman from Alabama has reserves a point of order.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 288 offered by Mr.
Without objection, the amendment will be considered as read. The gentleman from California is recognized to speak on his amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle would have us believe that this bill will bring back power to Congress. But in fact, what it really does is give more power to the judiciary and a Supreme Court that has become a partisan institution with a reactionary social agenda, one that has disregarded decades of precedent and denied millions of Americans the right to reproductive freedom, one that has also taken aim at clear water and clear air protections. And one thing that should be absolutely certain, and that is until the Supreme Court adopts an enforceable code of ethics, they should not be entrusted with even more power. My amendment today is very simple. It would allow Mr. Fitzgerald's bill to apply to courts if and when, and only when, all federal courts have adopted an enforceable code of ethics. A code of ethics for the Supreme Court is badly needed, as we've seen with serious allegations of undisclosed gifts and undisclosed travel and undisclosed lodging and undisclosed payments and benefits or compensation received by justices or their families from individuals and law firms with business before the Supreme Court. A code of ethics is absolutely essential. This amendment, which would require that before these kind of changes go into effect, that all federal courts have a code of ethics, is a small step to dealing with a very large problem at the Supreme Court. In fact, I think term limits on the Supreme Court, in which justices, after an appropriate time, would be required to relocate to the Court of Appeals or the District Court, are also an important reform, and I think the court needs to be expanded, given that the court was packed by Mitch McConnell, depriving a Democratic president of an appointment because he said the election was too close, and then in the most jarringly hypocritical fashion, jamming down another appointment during a Republican presidency when people were literally voting for Joe Biden for president. But nevertheless, although those larger steps I think are very necessary, we can begin the process of restoring some confidence in the court by at least insisting on an enforceable code of ethics. No more power for the court until there is accountability. And with that, I would...
Would the gentleman yield?
I'd be happy to yield.
Thank you. I'd simply like to point out that the gentleman makes a very good point about the size of the Supreme Court, but there's another reason also. Historically, the Supreme Court, there's been one Supreme Court justice for every circuit. There are currently 13 circuits, so we're behind the times, and we ought to have 4 more Supreme Court justices for that reason, in addition to the reasons the gentleman expressed.
Reclaiming my time, I thank the gentleman. I think he's absolutely right, and you can add to that the extraordinary increase in the caseload that goes before the court if we were just looking at efficiency. But of course, there's so much more at stake with the packing of the current Supreme Court. But in any event, this amendment is about some accountability, some enforcement.
Hello, today I will tell you about a profitable way to earn cryptocurrency. Exactly in 1 minute, we can earn from 10 to 50% to the amount. The strategy of earning is to buy cryptocurrency on one exchange and sell on another, and the profit we will get thanks to the difference in exchange rates on the exchanges. To begin, we will need to go to the site Binance, buy cryptocurrency, for example, Bitcoin. Then go to the Dampo's website and sell Bitcoin on it. After that, we withdraw the received money back to Binance. As you can see, initially on Binance I had 4,000 USDT, and after my strategy on the balance of $5,200. And in this way, we can earn many times. The strategy may change, so get in before it's too late.
Some presence even of a code of ethics. If we see nothing else, we've seen, I think, with the current court, the proof that power unrestrained by even a code of ethics can lead to the worst kind of results. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Alabama withdraws his point of order. The gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized to speak on the amendment.
It's so interesting that I have to read the Constitution of the United States to the folks on the other side so that they can understand how our government actually works. According to Article 3, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior court shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under the Constitution and the laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. The courts already have the authority to decide questions of law de novo. In fact, other than when a federal agency is involved in the case, they do it every day. That's their job, whether it is federal courts or state courts. Their job is to decide, is to interpret the law. Marbury versus Madison, we can go back that far as well. The fact is that the Chevron doctrine has stripped the courts of the power to interpret the law. All that the SOPRA does is restore the balance of power and the authority of the courts that existed prior to the Chevron decision. This amendment is not only unnecessary, the accusations being made by the gentleman who has pushed it forward demonstrates the incredible bias on the other side and the attack on our court systems and our courts and our judges, not because they are not interpreting the law or doing what they are required to by